Suchit, it's a pleasure to welcome you.
Thank you, Mateen.
It's a great company. You look so young, but you have been already an entrepreneur for 18 long years, you said.
Yes.
And the space you are in, I'm sure when you started was, pretty nascent, but it's very, very competitive now. You're competing with the big guys like the Salesforce of the world. So let me first understand how you got this thought way back when you started this. Because now when we look at it, it makes perfect sense. But I'm not sure it made sense at the time.
I think, as with a lot of entrepreneurial journeys, one is tempted to take the credit for a big idea. I don't think that's the case with us. I think it was a very organic and slow process, which is why we still feel like an 18-year-old startup. The process essentially, when we started out the company, it was in India. We were providing services. We were providing product data management services to sort of mail order catalogs, that went into print. And the obituary for print has been written every 5 years since. But that still continues to sort of survive. And as everything went online, we sort of saw a need for moving product data and catalogs to the web. And we followed that trend. And eventually, a few years ago, we built our digital commerce platform. Now, it is true that we compete with the likes of Salesforce, SAP, IBM, Oracle, companies that we regard and really respect. But I think we bring something very unique to the table. One, which is our history and our legacy of product data and management of content. And what we also bring, I think, is a very disruptive mindset that is rooted in why we're doing what we're doing, which is our purpose, which is really to build and help our customers compete. And so our platform, if you really look at it and say, what's the real difference between, compared to an SAP product or a Demandware or a CloudCraze product, it really is built to help customers, our customers, wholesale distribution, manufacturing, to be able to compete and compete effectively.
See, one important thing I think we need to learn from you is most entrepreneurs, when they start, the big dream most of the time, if not always, is to exit at a very high valuation or an IPO. In your case, you said it's been organic growth for you, and looks like it. You have 800 employees, you said, in your company. It's a sustainability model, and it takes a lot of grit to weather so many storms that come your way.
Yes.
It's a very different model. So maybe there is something for entrepreneurs to learn from you, how you can build a sustainable model in the long run.
I think fundraising, I don't have anything against fundraising and the Silicon Valley mindset of growth at any cost and the perpetual cycle of capital raising that they're in. I think it has created phenomenal outcomes. We have approached it in a slightly more different way, which is that we did not start the business with an exit strategy, right? So we never sat down and say, here's what we're going to do in the next 3, 4, 5 years, and this is the exit strategy. I think all exits really are rooted in 2 or 3 things. Companies will, either private equity or strategics, will come and acquire you if you have created a phenomenal product, right? So they'll buy you for IP. If you have amazing fan-fueled customers, so they'll come in to acquire your customers. Or if you have a phenomenal team, right? So those are the 3 things that companies look for. And we have all of those 3 in spades. But it's a function of how we built the company. We never started with an exit strategy. We've had several offers, but I'm 40 years old. I love what I do. I'd be like, what am I going to do on the Monday after closing? So for us, it's really about finding. We have some venture capital money that we took in 2015, but it's really been just to make sure that we're well capitalized to compete with Salesforce and other big boys.
See, the other thing with, like you said, Silicon Valley startups is you start something, you're lucky you sell in 3 years or 5 years or 7, then you're out and you take a break and come back, reinvigorate, start something with a different idea because technology evolves so rapidly. In your case, you have to constantly innovate also. So that is a challenge. And I want to learn from you, how do you innovate, one, and how do you keep the employees inspired as a leader? Those are two big lessons to learn.
Yeah, so you're 100% right, which is why I say we feel like an 18-year-old startup because we're always innovating. So the way we do it is we try to innovate and disrupt on the edges of our core, right? Or we try to keep our core pretty steady and strong because that's the revenue-generating arm of the business. But a year and a half ago, for example, we ran an entrepreneur in residence program where we brought in one of the chief engineers from iRobo. He didn't report to anyone. He had a budget that was his, and he was allowed to go crazy, like whatever he wants to do. And that kind of innovation, then when he built the product, so we're going to be launching a e-commerce enabled point of sale kiosk, as well as a 3D image taking bot. When he built those products and finished the prototyping, then we try to bring it into the core, and then we start productizing it. So that's a great way, I think, we have found success in trying to maintain and master our strengths, at the same time innovate and disrupt around the edges, and then move the core to the edge so that we can keep progressing. As far as the leadership question goes, I don't think nobody's a born leader. I've had my fair share of mistakes. I think it's the intent and the purpose that you bring to work every day. If the intent and the purpose is to helping elevate your people, to move them up, to bring them up, to help elevate your customers, I think that's more than what you can ask for in a leader. I find it the most happiest days of my work life as CEO have been when employees who left us come back, and we celebrate them. We celebrate because that is a strong testimony to the culture that we've built, that someone, and we want them to get wings and go out and carry the Unilog name outside of what we do. And it's very gratifying when they come back and kind of, it's a homecoming in some sorts.
It's a great attitude. It's a great attitude. I have had the opportunity for mentoring many people, and it's a different lesson to learn. I think entrepreneurs should look at you and people like you who have a sustainable model of business, look at the long term rather than short term exits. So wonderful. Thank you for coming and sharing your thoughts.
Thank you very much, Mateen. Thanks. Good.